Everything begins and ends with file. We get our presentation started here, and we save or send it on to other options right here in File. Along the left side of your screen, you're seeing a lot more options than just Open and Save. We set up our presentation on its path with New, but New has a lot of options of its own. Let's take a look at New. We could select Blank Presentation and get something like this. Or we can start with a template. There are dozens of templates with special categories for education, for example. These are a few of the templates. We'll open one up in a few minutes. Just remember, while templates are tempting and often the smart move, they require some depth of knowledge to get the most out of them. Or there's infographics. Here's a lot of choices in infographics that can be handy in the classroom. After you've made your choice, you'll need to save your work. I recommend you set up a folder and perhaps subfolders. Once you start using this technology regularly, you can have a lot of balls in the air. It will be good to have a place for everything and everything in its place. I also recommend developing a file name protocol so that in 3 years, when you are looking to recover some work, it will be easy to work out the name. Open seems self-explanatory, but remember, you will be given the option of opening files from wherever PowerPoint defaults, or you can choose to open by folder. If you selected specific folders, it will be easier to get back to files you worked on previously or last semester. Save will save or update your files, but Close will save your file while not closing the application. Save As can be useful. You can save your file under an alternate name, or you can choose to save it as a PDF instead of PPTX. This won't affect your PPTX files, but it will give you a much lower byte intensive document that you can share with people. Then there's export, and export will become more important when we graduate to making videos. You may want to change the default in Options. Click to save files to a designated folder rather than mix them in with your personal documents. If your native language is not English and you are attending a university in England or the United States, you should make sure that language is set to English for purposes of word editing. Otherwise, it's not going to know which words are spelled correctly. Now, we're ready to go into a live file and get our hands on the gears. We're going to work our way through the file options, just as you would see them in a PowerPoint presentation. As we go, I hope you will pause the video from time to time and try these things on your own computer. My philosophy of teaching is first, tell them what you're going to tell them. Second, show them. And finally, make them do it. And that's how people tend to learn things in the real world. So apply each section as we go, and you will become skilled. And all the things that follow will be far less confusing. Let's create a new file. Go to File and then select New. So here we are, New. You see that we have two directions to go. We can choose blank. You see a large slide, which will be your canvas. Comes up with provisions for a title and subtitle, which you'll usually have a use for on your first slide. After that, you insert a duplicate or complete blank for the next slide. We'll discuss just what we do with that and other options when we take a look at the home menu. But for right now, let's do a quick add-in. We can go to Home and we can select New Slide, and we could add another blank if we wanted, or go to New Slide and select one of these templates, or we can go to New Slide and duplicate that slide. So we have options. We're going to take a look at the templates. As you'll see, the templates come up at the same time that the blank presentation does, except that there are hundreds of templates that are just waiting for you. And they fall into different categories that have been set up: presentations, themes, charts, diagrams, business infographics. But what I think you'll really find useful is education. So we're going to take a look at education. So under education, we've got dozens of interesting starting points. Basically, if you look at them and it looks like a model that might fit with what you want to present, then you can take and reshape it to what you want to do. Some of these are geared to math, some are geared to more scientific presentations, and they're ready to go. Now, the one I'm going to show you briefly is Modern, Bold, Sophisticate, right here at the top, and it's available to anyone at any time. And simply click on it and click Create, and that comes up. Now, you'll notice when it comes up that you have 9 different slides along the side, and they're all in slightly different configurations so that you can go through and modify those configurations if the general idea looks good to you. You'll see that the headings, well, they're in recognizable English. Let's put a title on this. Okay, our own title. Now you'll look down below that and you'll notice that Lorem Ipsum Dolor is the presenter. Well, you'll put your name in there. And yes, that does seem like an odd name. And what you'll find is most of the things that are not headings are in this kind of made up language that looks a little bit like Latin, a little bit like Greek, and a little bit like other languages. Just to fill the places, you put what you need to go in there. All right, so I'm going to put my name. Okay, and as quick as that, simple as that, I've got the first page done. If I like graphics, I can continue. If I want to replace that picture with something else, because my theme is slightly different, or maybe I'm presenting something about the teachers at my school, I can put some pictures, some action teachers in the middle of it to make it more interesting to those who are going to be viewing it. And to the wise, when doing presentations, PowerPoints and videos, the more of your students that you can include, the more will watch. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so we can save this and use the save as, because if you just save it, what's going to happen is it's going to make it some generic name like present 3, and you don't want that. So you need to go to File and Save As. And if you'll remember back earlier in the the video, we went through and created a set of folders so that we could put things into them. And this is one of them, class 1. I've set this up so I can deposit things into it, and I'm going to deposit my test file. And I've already done this a few times, so I'm going to just stay with the title that I have for that. And it's going to ask me, oh, you want to overwrite it? Yeah, I'm okay with that in this case, but be careful in the future. Okay, that is something about the literally hundreds of template choices that you have available and your ability to manipulate them to fit whatever you want to do. Okay, let's take a look at some of these other options on file. We've already used new. We have open files. If we want to, up here at the top, we have the option basically of going home. That's the get out of Dodge option. Info, not much of interest there. Saving basically continues your project, but it updates it. Save as saves what you have under a different name than it has at the moment. And like I say, if it's a generic, like presentation 1 or 2, then you want to make it a name that you'll recognize in the future. You may also want to create templates of your own around the classes that you teach and save them to names like Calculus 304-1, that kind of thing. So it's easy for you to go back in a few years and take a look at them and pull back what you want to use in the future. Okay. Printing, no big deals here. Printing works pretty much the same in PowerPoint as it does in all the other Microsoft products. So we won't dwell on that. Sharing is an interesting option for if you're working in a matrix organization, you're able to save your PowerPoint as PowerPoint and send it off to someone, or you could save it as a PDF. And what I have to warn you about the PDF, if you have a fairly complex presentation that has layers, and you will after you learn something about how to do animation, then it's only going to show the front page. So if you want to send it to someone, if you have a simple presentation, PDF, no problem. If it's more complex, but you just want to send it to someone to give them a flavor of what you're doing, I do that every once in a while, then you can use the PDF. Otherwise, you're stuck with a much more bite-intensive PowerPoint presentations. All right, so we're going to close that out, and we're going to go back to File, and we've done Share. Export we will come back to later in the course, because basically export is all about transforming your PowerPoints into other things, and in particular, changing them into videos. You're not ready for that. Well, maybe you are, I don't know. You're the clown that's already teaching this stuff, right? But if you're the average person watching this, you're not ready to instantly turn things into videos. But when we get there, you will have beautiful PowerPoint products, and you will be able to turn them in a matter of minutes into a credible video. And then we'll even go a step beyond that, and we'll talk a little bit about editing. Okay, so that's the export function. Closing is something we do as we go along the way. And as you see, I just closed the template file that we had open. What happens when you close, what makes that different is that it literally goes to bed. It leaves the room so that it's no longer in the application. Whereas if you hit save, it updates what you have in your files, but what you're working with stays in front of you. And finally, down here at the bottom, we have 3 kind of vague options that you're not going to normally have much use for. The only one that I recommend you take a look at is options, because it gives you the ability to change the language that you're operating in so that the grammar corrections, spelling corrections are appropriate for what you're writing. In other words, in this case, they should be set to English. And also it gives you the ability to set a standard place to save things so that if rather than going to wherever PowerPoint decides they want to go or any of 100 different files that you have set up, it automatically goes back to those special teacher course files that you pre-created as we've gone along here in the course. Then that's what you want to change. Okay, that is file. It's been a short, quick tour, but I hope you see that operating your file, organizing your file is going to be very important to your success.